Hey, it's Lane from LainTCG, and this week I have a fairly short video for you today. I'm still labbing some of the new decks, and also I've been sick on and off this week, so I just wanted to put out a short video going over a card that you're going to see in competitive play for now, and a little bit going forward. And also the future archetype that exists around it. So today we're talking about HexeBlaumon and Ice Snow and EX7. Basically, it's not quite an archetype yet, but it's a strong opening, and we're going to see where it goes. So let's get into everything. Basically, we're just talking about all of this stuff. So Ice Snow right now doesn't really function as its own deck. HexeBlau in particular is already seeing a wide-ranging adoption in a bunch of decks as a strong sub-boss or sub-theme for how exactly cracked the floodgate ability that he has is. And while it's not playable at the moment, the upcoming EX8 Change of Liberation set that's coming out in like January is going to make this deck extremely viable if you're looking to play blue stun. So yeah, basically this is going to be like a favorite deck of your local blue player that likes to play things that are annoying. All right, we're going to get into the rest of it now. Okay, so we're just going to immediately talk about HexeBlaumon. I'll talk about some of the other cards in a second, and the future cards also, but for now, we're talking about HexeBlaumon because this channel is primarily about getting into competitive play, and he is the only one that you're going to be seeing for a little bit. So, basically, HexeBlau is a level 6 card that you can digivolve on top of any blue level 5 for 4 memory. He has 12,000 DP, and he has security attack +1, as well as Iceclad. If you're not aware what Iceclad is, other than against security Digimon, you compare the number of Digivolution cards instead of DP when it battles. So if you have more sources than your opponent, you win. If you have less sources than your opponent, you lose. If you have the same, they crash. That's about it. Basically, its utility outside of that is specifically its when digivolving and opponent turn effects, though. So when digivolving, you trash any 4 sources under your opponent's Digimon, and then you bot deck a Tamer if your opponent has no Digimon with sources at all. So it has some built-in Tamer hate. It's not quite black Tamer hate where it deletes things, but bot decking stuff basically means that they're not going to see whatever that card is again in almost every single deck. And also on your opponent's turn, this is the really important part, which makes it like a stacks stall piece. Also, if you're not aware, stacks is a magic term, but basically it's for things that keep your opponent from playing the game. So, opponent's turn, none of your opponent's Digimon with as many or fewer Digivolution cards as this Digimon can suspend, which is crazy, especially because he's a level 6. So, the utility. What does he do for you? Basically, it locks down every single deck aside from DNA decks and X antibody decks from doing just about anything. It's almost as powerful of a floodgate as Quartz is in practice. So basically, because it's worded as anything with as many or fewer sources as HexeBlau, you effectively need to be level 7 to suspend anything if it digivolved on top of an egg and went up to the level 6. So you can't suspend for anything, attacks, effects, so on. So like you cannot suspend for cost to attack, you cannot suspend due to your abilities, you cannot suspend for things like HPD, like, you know, hidden potential discovered to digivolve into stuff cheaper. You cannot, if you're playing Tyrant, suspend other things to bottom deck stuff. Anything. Nothing. It would need to be unaffected by Digimon effects to be able to do that. So exactly Magnamon X gets around it, but then you would need to have ways to strip your own security so that you could do it consistently, which is not realistic at this point in time. So basically DNA decks can get around it because you will have more sources than their level 6 will ever have, basically. Or X antibody style decks where you have like 2 of the same level on things you'll be able to get over, but you need to have more than the regular amount of sources on your level 6 to be able to do anything. Otherwise, it's going to lock down the entire board. Even outside of its own deck, it's generically probably the best secondary boss monster in any deck that has the space to run it, and is blue. So you're gonna want to keep an eye out for it. I'm going to talk about where it's seeing play in a second, so one moment. Yeah. So the place that's making the biggest splash right now is Mirage. Mirage can still play without it. Mirage is still a generically good deck without it. But the thing that you're going to see this played in most is Mirage at the moment, because due to the deck's ability to print memory by bouncing things to hand or, basically doing anything that the deck does, you will have enough to go into HexeBlau and do the thing that it wants to do. And HexeBlau affords it the turns that it needs to get into its combo. There's not a lot of stuff right now that has like huge removal that's not Heaven's Judgment or like extremely high cost options, things like that. There's not a ton of like Red Hybrid or Gallantmon or other stuff that can just blow it up. So you're going to need to spend time and resources to remove it instead of, anything else. And having HexeBlau on board for Mirage gives it enough time to do the thing where it can get the combo going so that it can win all at once. It just slows your opponent down, but the one thing is you will end up needing to have two bodies to win. Because it's 12k and it doesn't change the way that security battles work, it can just die into anything in security, so that is something to be aware of. Also, if you have a local Grace Nova player, they're rare, but you do see them. This also ends up in their deck most likely. While it's not as searchable in the deck, it is more powerful as far as floodgates go than Dianamon, and due to its ability, due to that deck's ability to shuffle cards back under the stack, to keep adding sources, gain memory, do other things, it's gonna be easily able in that deck to deal with DNA and X-antibody style decks, as well as being blue for the DNA requirement if you're going into Grace Nova. So yeah, these are the two places you're gonna see it primarily for now. Going forward, you'll see it crop up in anything that needs generic blue stall sort of stuff, but this is where it's seeing competitive play at the moment, and that is what I am focused on for this channel. So how to deal with it. Because this card has no built-in protection, and the decks that it's going to be played in don't either, it is vulnerable to effect or option deletion. The easiest way to blow it up is with a removal option like Heaven's Judgment or similar effects to remove it from the board. If you're also playing blue, like Full Moon, Meteor Impact, stuff like that, great. But yeah, you need to remove it, bottom deck it, anything, so it just can't be there. But it just needs to have some form of removal that gets over it without attacking specifically. Also, if you're playing a blocker heavy deck, you may only not suspend on your opponent's turn, right? So if they swing, then you can block, because it's an opponent's turn effect where you can't suspend. The larger issue, though, is that if you're playing like Mother Shoto, right, which is the blocker deck right now, because it has Iceclad, it gets over Mother D Reaper. Iceclad changes the way that the game's rules process for battle. It doesn't count as an effect. So if you swing with HexeBlau and block, and they block with a Mother D Reaper, they get over the Mother D Reaper. They don't necessarily do piercing or anything like that if it's not, its own line that gives it piercing, but it does get over Mother D Reaper. So you need to be playing a blocker heavy deck that like has sources. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. Also, you can get around it specifically in two decks in particular. So Sendril Puppet Rush, which I have a video that I put out last week. Please go watch it. It's good. And oddly, Hunters can get around the effect because both have ways to swing without needing to suspend for cost. So they naturally get around the suspend requirement to do so. The issue is that with both of those decks, you can only swing once per turn because they're end of turn effects unless you have a way to take turn back. So yeah, there's not really a huge way to get around it. Thankfully, the card itself doesn't have blocker, so if you do have like Sendrillmon or Hunters and they're doing their thing, they can't stop you from getting into security. They just can't let you like rush them down, basically. And cards to look out for now. So we're going to get into preparing for the future deck now. So I'm going to talk about the current cards that you want, and then the future cards that you want, right? So this archetype is going to get a big upgrade in EX8. So if you're looking to get some mono blue, though in future it's not going to be mono blue, it'll be blue yellow. Source strip, though, other than HexeBlau himself, these are what you should be looking at getting from the newest set. BlueComon is a generic searcher for the deck in that it can grab anything from its own line, so it can grab Paildra or HexeBlau in name, and then one card with Ice Snow on play. So that's really good. Also, it has the generic inherit for this archetype, which is when attacking once per turn, trash the top Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon. And then Paildra, especially the foil one if you want to max rarity this deck, is something to pick up probably sometime after Special Booster 2.0 drops, before the hype gets going, or slightly before that when they're focused on Special Booster 2. But basically, the Wind Digivolving on it trashes 2 sources, and it can give jamming and blocker to your stack if they have nothing with sources. But like BlueComon, it also has the inherit that strips a source when attacking. And then Crisp Pale is a great way to get extra attacks by stripping sources and unsuspending. So Crisp Pale has Iceclad, which is also very nice, especially on a level 5. And then Wind Digivolving, you trash some sources, and if they have no Digimon with sources, unsuspend. And then it also has an inherit, which while your opponent has no Digimon with Digivolution cards, this Digimon with Ice Snow trait gains piercing and security attack +1. Both the boss monsters for this deck, so this one, HexeBlau, and also the future card, are Ice Snow, so it applies to both. So it is a generic effect for the deck, but, you know, specific to this deck. And then we're going to talk about the other card that you're going to want to get from this set. You probably want to get everything that has Ice Snow in this set, just in case. But we're going to highlight this one in particular for the metagame at the moment, but also probably in future. So Snow from EX7 is probably the best rookie the deck has to Digivolve into in the back, because BlueComon has an on-play, and you do want to be getting the searches when you can. And we haven't seen the level 3 for Scottimon yet, right? So it has the generic inherit that trashes the top Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon when attacking once per turn. But also, it has Iceclad. And Iceclad is extremely strong, even on a level 3. Because we are seeing a lot of Mother D Reaper now, Iceclad is fairly incredible, even on a level 3 with a source. If you Digivolve on top of your egg, you can swing with Snow Agumon itself over Mother D Reaper because of the way that it changes how the game rules work for the battle. This, you know, isn't counted as a Digimon effect or, you know, an opponent's effect for Mother D Reaper. It's a game rule, so you'll get over them regardless. So it's a rookie that can get over the biggest wall in the game. And now we're going to talk about the future of the deck. So when we get EX8 early next year, the deck is going to get a lot more tools that are actually going to make it viable as a standalone deck versus a secondary theme in other decks. I will just kind of give you a brief overview of the ones that we know about. We don't know what the rookie and the level 4 are yet. So, you know, maybe they've shown it, but I haven't seen it, so... Still, Scottimon and Polar Bearmon add yellow board manipulation archetypes to the deck, and though we aren't aware of the rookies by themselves, these 2 cards are very strong. And also the Tamer is extremely strong for the deck. So Polar Bearmon offers an on-play when Digivolving effect to strip 2 sources, and then it does a similar Venusmon effect. So basically, if they have... You strip 2 sources from one Digimon, and then you give one of their Digimon with no sources. The thing where it can't unsuspend or activate when Digivolving effects until the end of their turn. So it's similar to Venusmon, slightly different, but similar to Venusmon's effect, and Venusmon's effect is one of the best in the game. Also, because it's yellow, it gives you access to using Venusmon if you want to just kind of play a stall sort of deck. Also, Scottimon mainly is going to be used to bottom of security your opponent's key Digimon, but it can also play cards out of hand for free. So basically it has Iceclad and Barrier because it is blue-yellow. And then when Digivolving, you may play 1 level 4 lower Ice Snow trait Digimon from your hand without paying the cost. And then for each of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards, you add 1 level to the effect. So basically you can, if they have 2 Digimon on board that are stunned via your stuff, you can play out a level 6. They may have a level 7 that's interesting, or you could potentially, you know, just play out some stuff Doesn't really matter. I think that probably the Ice Wizard guy from EX7 is pretty good to play on this as well, because it unsuspends something and he's a level 4, but you can do what you want with it. The thing that's more relevant though is when digivolving and when attacking once per turn. By placing one Digimon with no Digivolution cards at the bottom security card, this Digimon unsuspends, and because it is generic effect, you can bot of security your opponent's stuff or your thing. So you can recover to your security by playing stuff on your board and attacking, or get rid of their annoying things to the bottom of their security so that you can just stall them even harder. It's really nice. Also, Suzune, the tamer for Ice Snow, in the Liberator web novel, I believe, adds a generic memory gain effect. So she has the start of your main phase. If your opponent has a Digimon on board, gain a memory. We love the generic effect. It's very good. But also when you play a Digimon with Ice Snow or Digivolve into a Digimon with Ice Snow, you can suspend her to strip a source from one of your opponent's Digimon, so she just adds more fuel to slowing your opponent's board down. It's great. It's really great. I think all of these together, plus probably the rookie and the level 4 that we see, are going to make this a viable deck by itself. Blue and yellow are extremely strong right now in Digimon, and I think that all of this together will make an archetype that is really annoying to play against at the very least. It may not be amazing. I think it's going to be pretty great. But even if it's not amazing, it's going to be the kind of deck that people put their head in their hands once you start doing the things. So if that's your kind of deck, this is the one for you. And then we're just going to talk about conclusions, because this is more or less the end of the video. Eventually, this deck is going to become very strong, kind of like blue stall deck that does its own thing. But for now, HexeBlaumon is working as a backup leader in other powerful decks, specifically Mirage and Grace Nova. You can run him in anything that's blue that's interesting for you, though. Except for Magna, because you don't have level 5s really, but Also, if you're interested in this archetype, I would recommend getting the pieces now before the hype of EX8 crops up, probably shortly before or after Special Booster 2.0 comes out, because that's probably when the prices are going to die down the most, though the prices aren't super crazy now, even if you're looking at like the blue foil version, so take that information as you will. I'm not a market channel. I don't pretend to be one, and I don't want to be one. So that's about it. Please like and subscribe, and share this with your community or friends who are looking to get into the competitive scene or would like to potentially play this deck in future. My Twitter and Twitch are LainTCG. My Twitter, I mostly post art and reblog Digimon memes and Tekken memes. And my Twitch, I use mostly to lab decks for Digimon and also play Tekken 8. If that's something that you're interested in, please feel free to go over there. I've also made a Discord server. I'll probably post the link next video I make, but we'll see. And also, my model on the right here is by Bia Bigshot or at Arabiataho on Twitter. My cursor model that I use for testing on Twitch is made by my friend VenividiVT, at anyvidi_VT on Twitter or on VGen if you're interested in the work that she does. And my banner is by Yo-Yoms on Twitter, and my logo is by Pinky Bird on Twitter and VGen. Yeah, that's about it. Hope you have a nice day, and good luck at your locals. See you next time.